everybody! Welcome to the Lounge Podcast with your host,
Natalie
and Anahi.
So for this episode, we're doing a little switcheroo. We're flipping it around. We're putting Anahi now in the hot seat. We're going to get to know her a little bit more, both you guys and me. So just to start off, I want to ask you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hi everybody, my name is Anahi. I am from Wenatchee, but I grew up in Selma, California. Was raised there up until I was like 9 years old, and then I moved over to Wenatchee, and we just kind of settled there.
Awesome. So obviously you just mentioned you're from Selma, California. Very different environment or I'm assuming I'm not from Wenatchee. I've barely ever been, but very different environment. So what was it like growing up in Selma?
So Selma's actually not that different from Wenatchee. I feel like Selma's just a little bit smaller. So if you go on a map, not a lot of people know where Selma is. It's very central California. If you know where Fresno is and then you drive down, I think it's like 15 minutes, you get to Selma. And it's like a little town that you literally just pass by. But I mean, it's very dry over there. So a lot of the stuff that like we do in Wenatchee, we never like thought we could do in Selma. And like obviously just the snow was different, having a river nearby was really different. And then like if you're from Wenatchee, you know that if you need to go to bigger stores, we have a mall, but it's not that big, but if you have to go to bigger stores, you have to drive up to Seattle or like to Tri-Cities or Spokane. And like it's really hard. I don't know, for me it was a really hard adjustment because I had a mall like literally 15 minutes in any direction. It was all drivable.
Yes, the same. Sorry to interrupt, but the same for me. Growing up in Vegas, like we had the Meadows Mall like down the street, and it was like not that far from my middle school either. So it's very different.
And then, like, even just, like, little things that I enjoyed. So, we had the elotero pass by our house a lot.
Yes! I don't know if you had... Well, this is going to sound dumb, but I don't know if you had this as well, where the paleteros and the eloteros would be, like, on every single corner of the elementary school.
So, ours wouldn't be on the corners. Ours would pass by, like, on a little carrito.
Okay.
And, like, it would be kind of after school, like, ya na tarde. They would pass by with their little, like, horn and everything.
Yes.
But they weren't at the schools. I don't think they were allowed to sell like near the school grounds, but I do remember that pasaba un elotero y nos fiaba los elotes. I remember because my mom, so she didn't work. Well, she did work, but then she kind of stayed at home, and we'd be like, oh, like, le pagamos mañana, because my dad is, like, the one that has the cash, like, we don't have the cash. So then he'd be like, oh, yeah, no, he knew us. And then when my mom got pregnant with my little brother, we had his number. So whenever, like, we wanted elotes, we'd call them. But in Wenatchee, you don't get that. Like, there's very few places, and they're, like, little stores, or there is a paletero in East Wenatchee, but, like, he doesn't go around every day, you know?
I remember, like, one of my first palet... Because I think it was very different because they would just, like, be pushing the carts down the street because we were in a city. Mm-hmm. But, like, where I live now, like, no pueden hacer eso. So at most they have, like, an actual truck.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, over there, it was all cash. Like, if you had a card, you weren't getting anything.
Yeah.
So when I saw that they had Apple Pay at the paleteros...
You're like, what is this?
So what was your favorite treat from the paleteros?
I loved elotes, just like a regular white elote.
¿En vaso o en palo?
En palo. With a lot of mayonesa and queso. And sometimes I'd get the chile, but not always. And then they sold the churritos. Well, I don't know what you guys call them, but they're like the little pinwheel churritos.
Oh, los duros.
Oh, you call them duros?
We call them duritos or chicharrones.
So we call them churritos. Yeah, there we go. We just call them churritos. But I like the white ones, like los de papa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my favorite treat.
Okay. So growing up in Selma, what was that environment like? I know you mentioned like the stores and having everything at your disposal, but like what was a day-to-day life in Selma?
So we lived really close to like this gangster house, you know.
It was giving on my block.
So like it was literally like our house was right next to theirs, and like they were always really nice. So I always had that environment around me, you know. I talked very almost like Chicano because of because of, like, growing up around them.
And you were also in California.
Well, yeah, I was also in California. And then even, like, going to school, like, we could not wear red. We could not wear blue. It was very much, like, our parents were constantly worried about that. And I remember that I had a cousin who was the same age as me, and, like, he was big on shoes. Like, he loved shoes. And, like, my parents would be, like, eran sus padrinos. So he'd be like, oh, like, let's go take you to buy shoes. And we'd go together, and he'd want these, like, red Nike Jordans or something. And they'd be like, no, you can't get them. And, like, I remember, like, as a little girl, I never understood it. I was like, well, it's just a color, you know? But, like, now growing up, like, obviously, Wenatchee now, sí se mira a lot of gang violence. But before, when we got here, there was none. And it was just so different to, like, not have to worry about, because in California we could never be out on the streets by ourselves. Like, we had to have someone with us because there was just a lot of, like, drug addicts around there.
It was just an unsafe environment.
Yeah, it was very unsafe. And, like, it was just, even, like, one time, little fun story, we were, it was, like, around 2012, 2011, when everybody was like, oh, like, the world is gonna end.
Third grade.
Yeah. So they were like, the world is gonna end. So I remember that we saw, like, I still remember it so clearly. We were in the living room, and, like, we had, like, we had a back door that was glass, and I remember seeing, like, this really bright light, and I was like, oh my god, the aliens are here to get us. Like, that's immediately where my brain went, because we were just watching the news about how people were, like, freaking out about the world ending, and we, like, walked outside, and it was a palm tree that we had in the neighbor's front yard that had been set on fire by, like, the opposite gang. They weren't, like, fully associated with that gang, but they had, like, their enemies or whatever. So they had thrown, like, a little can with gasoline on fire and had lit that whole Palma on fire. And it was really silly, because I remember I, like, walked outside and I was like, what the heck is going on? My parents were like, walk inside, like, just stay inside. And then just, like, another time también, our house got broken into, but we were at school. So when I got home from school, I remember I was getting off the bus, and I see my mom outside with the cops, and I was like, oh my god, my mom's getting arrested. Like, that is literally, like,
I love
my
that that's
brain.
where your mind
Yeah,
went.
my brain was like, my mom's getting arrested. Or, like, something happened to my dad, because I, like, knew desde chiquita that my dad was undocumented. So I was like, something is going on.
Yeah.
I, like, walked in, and, like, they were like, oh, you can't go in the house, like, your house was broken into, like, one of the windows was broken, and then there was, like, a shoe print on one of the walls of somebody that, like, jumped the window. So they were trying to figure out, like, whose footprint that was. I don't know if they figured it out, but it was really funny, I guess, to me. Like, I think I was, like, 6 years old, I was so confused. I was like, what is going on? But yeah, I mean, I just got used to that, which sounds really bad, because as a 6-year-old, I don't know if you should be used to that.
I feel like there's a lot of things, like, just from my perspective, the homeless population in Bay, it's huge, and it's something where it's like, just
it's
walk
so
around
normalized.
them. You just walk around, or, like,
exactly.
You see people that are obviously not in their right mental state, like, they are on something, and you're just like, lock your doors, like, avoid.
The amount of lockdowns that we had in California too, like, in our schools, like, we had people coming in with knives. We had people, because it was, like, an open, like, concept school, I guess.
I know exactly.
So, yeah,
because we had one of those.
Yeah,
too.
because over there it doesn't snow, so if it rains, like, they didn't like the havanas, like, that cover it, but, like, the classrooms are, like, outside and, like, portable style, you know. So, like, it's so easy for them to go on our campus, and, like, obviously there's fences all over around, but it's not the same as, like, having a closed school, because you can monitor all of that, and, like, you can see it. But yeah, no, we got locked down so many times where, like, people came into our campus, or, like, there was threats, and it was just so normalized. So when we came here, and I remember we had our first lockdown, and, like, everybody was freaking out, I was like, why are y'all freaking out? Like, why are y'all acting like this doesn't happen? Well, it was because it doesn't happen. It was normalized.
Like, there's so many. So there's two questions. First, I want to ask, I don't know if you relate to this as well, but I know I grew up in Nevada, going to California pretty often, watching a lot of shows produced in California, like California natives. So you kind of grow up with a different accent. I don't know if it happened to you too, but when you move to Washington and you hear how different people speak here, like, I feel like I've gotten, like, adjusted into it and kind of fell into that accent as well. Pero, like, put me in the right environment, I revert right back to it.
Yes, when I go back to visit, like, I definitely... Now, it's not as bad as it used to be, like, where I would, like, it would take me a little bit to switch, because even the language that they use right now is so different compared to here, that like I'll go back and they'll say something and I'm like, whoa, like what did you just say? And like it took me a little bit to kind of get used to both of them, because at first I didn't really understand it, but I would get made fun of in school because I had that very like
the California
accent, and some people just would not understand.
Because one of the words that I use a lot is dude.
Yeah.
And my friends would make fun of me. They'd be like, okay, surfer.
Yeah, no, they'd be like, what? Like, what? But, like, even now, like, it's so stuck in my vocabulary that I can't get rid of it.
Yes. Another thing. I know you mentioned the palm tree getting lit on fire. So that just, like, reminded me during Christmas time, just seeing the instead of, like, pine trees or like los otros árboles,
I remember
seeing palm trees with the lights.
Yes, I remember like we were learning about different trees in my second grade class. Was it second grade? Yeah, it was second grade. And like they were like, oh, we're taking you to go see the sequoia trees, and like obviously up there's like pine trees, and that was the very first time we ever saw a pine tree, and everybody was so mesmerized. We were like, it's a real Christmas tree, because in California everybody uses fake Christmas trees.
Yeah,
that's another thing that I didn't get used to.
Christmas tree farms.
Christmas tree farms. Like I remember like coming here and like seeing like people like selling Christmas trees, and I'd be like, oh mom, can we get one? And she'd be like, no, because I'm allergic. And I'm like, what do you mean you're allergic to plastic? And she'd be like, they're not plastic, they're real trees. It just never clicked.
It looked like a movie, and now like I look back, now it's like the opposite way, because I've been here for so long that it's like I see the pictures and videos of like California, like southern states, donde tienen las palmas con las luces, and I'm like,
so
ay, qué nostalgia.
Funny. Yeah, I know. No, and like it would be so funny because I go now and like I see the lights and everything, and I'm like, that's so weird. Like if someone from Washington that's like been here all their life were to see that, they'd be like, what type of Christmas is it? You know?
Yeah, I remember like seeing the movies, again, Christmas time, seeing the snow on the ground.
Yes, that was so unreal.
And the first time I experienced it, I was like, I'm living a movie.
No,
but now real. I'm like, oh, pinche nieve.
No, for real. I'm like, bro, cancel it.
No, I'm just kidding.
This girl.
So obviously, again, you didn't mention this before, but you are the oldest of 3 siblings, just like me, a little sister, a little brother. So how is that dynamic between you guys?
So I have actually the same gaps as you. So I have I'm the oldest sister, so I have a younger sister. We're 4 years apart. She's 16, having her quinceañera this year. And then I have a little brother. We're 9 years apart. Mm-hmm. So, like, that dynamic was always very much, like, I'm a mom to them. Like, with my little sister, like, she kind of hated me growing up, and I kind of hated her. So, like...
Yeah, that's just a sister thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I guess we missed out on a lot of things growing up. But with my little brother, like, even now, like, it's so hard for us to, like, be apart from each other because we've only ever been together. And, like, now I've gotten closer to my little sister, so, like, it's a lot worse with her now. But, like, growing up, like, we weren't really that close.
Yeah. It was just, like, the person that's there.
Yeah, like, I'd be annoyed because she'd be wanting to hang out with me and my friends and all that.
Yeah.
But, like, you'd think that, like, 4 years isn't a big age gap, but it really is, because when I was 16, she was 12. And she was trying to hang out with us, and, like, obviously at 16 you don't
very different parts of life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and like she was about to start her teenage years, and like I was like, bruh, get away from me type thing, you know. I was mean to her. I really was. Like, I was really mean to her, and I look back on it and I like regret a lot of things, because I'm like, bro, I did like practically bully her. But I mean, we're good now, you know. We kind of talked through it now that I'm away. I feel like we got a lot closer because we kind of realized how much we needed each other. Like, I don't think that, and then just COVID in general, I feel like she was my backbone during COVID.
Like, the amount of times that I would walk into my little sister's room just bawling my eyes out because I was so desesperada. And she'd be like, they're there.
Yeah, I know. I cried to my little sister a lot of times. I'm like, she helps me through my panic attacks. So, props to you, Marlene. I love you, baby girl.
Yes, we love Marlene.
We love her. I'm like, she's also so chaotic and unhinged. Like, it's so bad.
Because I feel like my sister's a lot shyer with you than your sister is with me.
Yeah, no, my sister's like, she's like a social butterfly. She does not care. Like, sometimes she does, and like she'll be like, oh, like, you know, she'll be all shy, but like she does not care. Like, if she likes you, like, she was stalking all my friends the other day. Like, I was like, girl, what are you doing? She, like, pulls up an Instagram. She was like, is this your man? I was like, girl, what are you doing looking at people's Instagrams? But, yeah, I'm like, I love my little sister. And then my little brother is just, like, is, like, a copy of me, but softer.
Yeah.
He's very sweet.
I feel like he's definitely very, with my brother, pues, like, he's, again, me, but upgrade, like...
Yeah. Like, each version,
so
like, it's me, but better each time.
He's me in guy and nicer.
Yeah.
Because I know your brother's such a sweetheart.
He is, I know. I love my little brother. He is a sweetheart. I'm like, he does a lot of things. Like, it's crazy to think about because I go home and he'll be like, oh, I started watching this show because I know that you like this show. And, like, that's kind of his way of, like, connecting with me, you know, trying to keep in touch with me. And, like, he's really into K-pop and, like, he'll show me his dances and it's so cute. And then when I went back home over the summer, I was, like, telling him that I was, like, into Taylor Swift. So he's into Taylor Swift now. Like, Olivia Rodrigo también. Yes. Like, you know, all of those things. And, like, he just does it to, like, connect with us. And I really love it. He's a very sweetheart.
Yes. So, growing up, what was that dynamic?
Growing up, well, I was very much a mom to him. That was kind of my role. Like, my mom worked full-time. My dad worked full-time. So I kind of had to step up and be that sibling. My little sister, she was a little snitch, so I could not, like, trust her. So I very much, like, for years, I kind of had to deal with stuff on my own. And, like, you know, everybody's like, well, you have a sister and you have a brother, but it's not the same. Because, like, sometimes you just kind of need to let everything out. And, like, when your sister's in her snitch phase, you can't really do that. Because if you tell her something, she's going to turn around and then tell your mom. And then your mom, like, I feel like my mom también, like, sometimes it would take her a little while to understand what I was going through. Or, like, even she was so stressed out with her stuff that she just never understood what I was going through. So, like, I turned to look at my friends and, like, use them as a support system. And that was something that they never understood. And then my mom has this saying, because my grandma used to say it all the time, too, where they'd be like, en la vida no hay amigos. Like, that's their biggest thing, is that they're always like, no tienes amigos. Like, your amigos son tus hermanos and your family, and that's it. Like, those are the only people that you can trust.
But that's not necessary. Like, not just because, yes, you can have friends, but sometimes your family is the one stabbing you in the back.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was, like, looking at the other day también, because there's just, like, a lot of people that... My family's very, very close, so thankfully we don't have those problems. But, like, I was looking at it the other day because, like, we were talking about it, and I was like, well, that's not true, though, because sometimes your friends are the ones that are more willing to be there for you. But, yeah, I'm like, so I grew up very isolated from everybody. Like, I was very social, but it was more because I was, like, craving that, like, having something or someone to relate. Because all of my friends were, like, middle childs, or, like, they were the youngest, and they just couldn't relate to being the oldest and being that example. Like, I remember I had this group called the Wimps, and we grew up, and, like, I think only one of them was the oldest of, like, his family, and, like, we didn't really talk like that, so it was just kind of, like, different to my other friends, because they'd be like, oh, like, I'd tell them, like, I have to bring my little sister because my parents want me to bring my little sister, and they'd be like, well, leave her behind, like, it doesn't matter, and I'm like, but it does, though. And they were always usually the ones that didn't have younger siblings, or that they just didn't care because they were the middle ones and the oldest one could take care of them. But that was never the case for me. Just, like, I couldn't do a lot of, like, clubs or sports también just because of that fact that, like, there was just nobody to take care of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just that dynamic, one point that really stood out to me right now is how different those dynamics are depending on, like, your birth order, I guess you could call it, because I do see, like, a lot of traits, and this doesn't have to be negative, like, it's positive and negative at the same time, like, depending, like, which part, but those dynamics when you're the oldest and only one of your like, only daughter, only son, like, when you're the middle child and you're the youngest, when you grew up with all brothers, with all sisters, with of each, like, that dynamic is always super interesting, and it's super revealing, especially when you really get to know a person and just analyze them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what's your earliest memory? Just in general.
My earliest memory, let me think. Well, I remember being, like, 6 years old and being told that I had to vacuum, and, like, I would complain about it. But, like, yeah, I think that's kind of, like, I don't know why that's my earliest memory of, like, me vacuuming the sala when I was really, really young. I also have, like, I don't know if this is my earliest memory, but I do remember like my birthday parties, because my mom was really big on birthday parties, and I have this, like, I don't know how old I was, but I have this, like, very specific memory that she would combine it, because me, my mom, and my little sister are all born in April, so she would combine all three of our birthdays, and, like, we would create this huge party, and, like, they'd always, like, get me a bouncy house. We'd always have a clown there. We'd always have, like, little goodie bags of piñata and all of that, and, like, my family's really close, so everybody would go. So, yeah, that's kind of, like, my two earliest memories. It's just my birthday parties and vacuuming.
That's so cute. Just to, like, insert mine, porque me puse a pensar, yo también thinking about this question. Mine is definitely, like, my tío Juan, when we lived at this one specific house in Vegas that, like, for context, I feel like everybody in my family, like, lived in that house at some point in time. Like, at one time, we were living in it, and the garage was, like, renovated, so, like, another family could live there. So, like, or my tias lived there at a certain point. But I remember being in that house and my tío Juan picking me up because I was trying to get on the bed and just picking me up and, like, setting me on there porque no alcanzaba. I couldn't lift myself up. One question that I really, really want to know, why did you choose WSU Pullman?
So, I came to Cash, and I really, really liked...
Can you tell the people what Cash is?
Yes. Okay, so Cash, I'm like little promo mine. Okay, so Cash is a conference held here at WSU for students that are more likely not to come to college, you know? And their goal is to persuade these students to realize that even though college is not for them, there's resources available here to help them. And the CASH, what it stands for, is the Children of Aslan Sharing Higher Education. So that kind of, like, gives you a little peek into, like, what CASH is. And I got chosen to come. I knew that I wanted to come to WSU, or not WSU, but, like, to college in general. I just didn't know where I wanted to come. And my team leader, Daniela, like, she really, like, kind of helped me understand that, like, anywhere I go, like, the multicultural community is very different, and she was very helpful in, like, telling me that, like, here it's, like, it's all connected, like, everybody in the multicultural community, and I just really was looking for that sense of, like, home, because in a very white school, like, you don't want to be the only Mexican, or you don't want to be the only Chicano, you know, like, you know what I mean? So that was very important to me. And every other school that I toured, or every other school that I went to go research, they didn't have that Chicanx, like, Latinx community that I was looking for. And, well, WSU had it, so I was like, let's come here. It was also very close for my family. It's only 3.5 hours away. Obviously, there was closer options, but, I mean, it kind of checked off everything I was looking for.
We love our community here.
Yes.
Like, it's big, but it's small at the same time.
Yeah, like, I feel like, yeah, you're right. Like, like, if you compare it to the entire university, it's very small. But then, like, when you're within the community, you're like, wait, there's, like, a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds here. You can always find someone to relate to.
Always. Yes, shout out to the community here. So, what was your first week here at WSU like?
Oh, I hated it. I wanted to go back. Like, I was already, like, on the Wenatchee Valley College website figuring out how to transfer. My roommate, she was very nice, very sweet, but, like, I don't know, I just was not finding that, like, community sense that I really wanted to. Mind you, I was also not looking for it, so that was my fault. I was kind of just going to classes and then, like, encerrándome in mi dorm, because, like, when I was back home, like, I couldn't just get up and leave. Like, that was never a thing for me. Like, I couldn't just be like, oh, Mom, I'm gonna leave. Like, I had to ask for permission and stuff like that. So, like, being by myself was just so weird, and I felt like I still needed to ask for permission, even though I didn't. But I hated it so much. I cried every night, and then it also didn't help that it was my little brother's birthday on Tuesday. So, I hid under my bed, cried every night, would wake up the next day, shower, leave to class, and then come back and cry again.
All with those
all hinchados, like, I'd be in class, like, trying to learn. No. And, like, after that, I was part of camp, you know, that's where we met, and Michael sent me an email about Ross Point, and I was like, you know what, let's go. And then after that, like, after meeting everybody, I was like, wait, like, if they're here, then I can be here too. And, like, we established a friend group. Obviously, like, not everybody talks to everybody anymore, but, I mean, we've made pretty good connection. It's necessary. It's just, like, you grow as a person and you kind of grow out of those friendships.
Because I feel like especially the majority of us come from communities that are majority Chicanos, Latinos, specifically Mexicans.
Yeah.
Like, we come from areas that I know, like, where I live right now, los letreros están en español. Like, everybody, even people that, like, I guess white people, even they speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Even they at least understand it. So coming here, that's crazy.
It's such a culture shock.
So you need each other, like, the dinners that we used to have.
Yeah,
like, if it wasn't for things like that,
I don't think I would be here, to be honest.
Like,
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all of those friendships. Obviously, not a lot of them ended on good terms, but those are the ones that did. I'm still in touch with those people. And, like, even the ones that ended in bad terms, like, I've reconnected with them, and, like, we've talked it out, and, like, you know, we've all kind of...
You've grown as people.
Exactly. We've all just kind of came to those conclusions that, like, you know what? Maybe we weren't the best friends, but, like, now we can go back and reflect on it and be like, hey, bestie, you know?
All right, so I know we did this for me, so let's do this for you.
Okay.
We're going to do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Dove Cameron.
That was quick.
Dove Cameron. She's so fine.
If you had to live in a fiction movie or book, what would you choose?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter?
Harry Potter. I want to be a witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slytherin.
Yeah.
So what's your funniest relationship deal breaker?
My funniest relationship deal breaker, if he can't drive. I don't know if that's funny, but I feel like for most people that's not a deal breaker, but for me it is. If you don't have your license, babe, I'm sorry, but I'm a car girly.
You are a car. Where did that originate from?
Okay, so it's from California. Like, I grew up watching the Fast and Furious movies with my cousins, and then just like coming to Wenatchee, there's a lot of STIs. Like, lot of them.
Please explain what that is. Because as someone who doesn't come from a car background, like, that can get confused so quickly.
I'm not even that into the car community, but I can appreciate a good, nice car. So, Subaru makes WRXs, and there's the STI branch of that. So, there's the regular WRX, and then there's the STI. I don't really know the differences. I just know that the STI ones are the pretty ones, and they're usually the ones that have like the wing on the back. They have like they're just so nice. They're usually a little bit lower. Usually the windows are like blacked out. Like, if you search up a car, if you search up a picture of it, search up the 2019 version. That one is my favorite. 2019 Subaru WRX STI.
So what does a perfect day for Anahi look like? Like, you, at the end, you're just like, this is the best day ever.
My perfect day is definitely, like, sleeping in and just kind of being around my family. Like, that is usually, like, I know that we don't always get along with my family, but just, like, being around them. Usually, we're really into, like, going outside and stuff like that, so I'd say probably, like, playing volleyball outside, having, like, a little carne asada, you know, just getting to spend time with them.
Awesome. So, what was your dream job as a child?
I wanted to be a princess. I wanted to be a princess. I definitely did not. I still don't want to work. Like, it's still, you know, if you're a prince out there, hit me up. I really don't want to work. Make me rich, because, yeah, no. Just, like, I grew up watching a lot of princess movies, and that was always, like, I was in love with it. I was like, I want to be a princess when I grow up.
That's so cute. What was your favorite Barbie movie?
Oh, my favorite Barbie movie? Dang it, I don't know what it's called. I think it's called The Fashion Show, but it's the one where she goes to Paris with her aunt, and they like she has like a little boutique, and they have to save it because she's like giving up on it because her models aren't selling anymore. And then there's like these 3 fairies. I think it's Sparkle, Bling, and Glimmer, something like that. I don't know if that's correct, but they accessorize the dresses, and they usually just add like glitter to them, and they turn really pretty. But yeah,
that's so cute. I have no idea which one that one is, but let's watch it.
Yeah, no, we have to watch it together. Yeah.
So what's your favorite song?
My favorite song right now is Primera Cita by Karin Leon.
Shout out, Karina.
Cari Leon, if you're out there, baby boy, hit me up.
I know you were really upset that you didn't get to go to the concert while you were in California.
So upset. I wanted to cry.
So, one more question before we get to the end. And I feel like I really need you to explain this one.
Okay.
Second to last question.
Okay.
If you could have dinner with anyone, dead, alive, fiction, who would it be?
Voldemort.
What would you eat?
Oh, that's a good... I would make him eat spaghetti.
Why?
Because, I don't know, I feel like Voldemort eating spaghetti would be the funniest thing ever. Like, just imagine it. He has no nose, so, like, I don't know. Like, him eating anything would be really funny. I would kind of just want to ask him, like, why, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand why, but, like, you know, he needs to talk his issues out. Because, baby boy, like, go to therapy or something. Like, why are you out here terrorizing little kids? Like, why was he out there trying to get Harry Potter, like, killed when he was younger? And, yeah, no, I'm not even gonna get into that. But Voldemort, I really want to have a talk with him.
Voldemort eating spaghetti.
Eating spaghetti, yes.
Did you ever watch So Random on Disney Channel?
I think so, but, like, what was it about?
It's the SNL, but for kids. It was, like, originally it was Sunny with a Chance with Demi Lovato, and then Demi Lovato had to leave the show for personal reasons. So, like, the fake show within the Sunny with a Chance series.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
So, I don't know if you remember, there was this bit that they would do with Voldemort, where, like, he would be doing the most random stuff, and I don't know why you bringing him up. Well, obviously, it's, like, Voldemort, but, like, that
it just unlocked it for you?
That just unlocked that memory for me.
No.
So, going along kind of with those lines, what does a perfect date for you look like, and who is it with?
Okay, well, I'm not gonna name him out loud. Wait, does it have to be a celebrity or, like, a person that I know in my life?
Lo que sea.
Okay, well, person that I know in my life, I'm not gonna name him out loud, but I'll give you clues. So, my perfect date with this person would be, like, he has a really nice car. He has a really nice car. So, I think, like, going around, you know, driving somewhere, and then, like, going to, like, literally anywhere. Like, I know right now we're canceling McDonald's, but usually I guess we would go to McDonald's, but not right now. So, I'm thinking, like, Panda Express. I know that he's always posting Panda Express, so I'm assuming that he really likes it. Mm-hmm. So, we can go to Panda Express and then, like, grab, like, a little, like, blanket or something and then just go watch the sunset. I love watching the sunset. So I think that would be my perfect date with that person. With a celebrity, I would want to go right now in this moment, I would want to, like, take Nikki out on a date to go eat. I need to ask that girl what she's on, bro. Like, I need to have a quick talk with Nikki. But yeah, it would be Nikki.
What would you guys go eat?
I don't know. I would kind of maybe want to do something that's, like, eating with fingers, because I feel like, you know, like, finger food. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like if I asked her, like, what she was doing right now, like, she'd probably throw a fork at me. So, yeah. Yeah, so maybe, like, sandwiches. Nikki, let's go have some sandwiches, baby girl.
Oh my god, we love Miss Minaj's music.
Yes.
So, last question, I think, unless I randomly remember something else I wanted to ask you. Mm-hmm. Oh, second to last question. I swear, y'all. She
said that 4 questions ago.
I said that 4 questions ago, but, you know, this just keeps coming out, so we're going to work with it. Okay. Where do you see yourself in first 5 years and then 10 years?
5 years? Definitely probably still in school. I want to get my PhD, so I'm going to be Dr. Anahi Marquez Castro. We're putting this out there into the universe. But yeah, I'll probably still be in school, probably working for, like, Trio still or something like that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm seeing myself.
And in 10 years?
In 10 years, I will have my program established. So I really want to start a program for undocumented students, kind of like camp and Trio. And if you don't know what that is, they're practically just programs that, like, support students of low income camp specifically migrant backgrounds, farm working backgrounds, and then trio is like disability, documented disabilities, low income and first generation, and they're just programs that kind of help out students, with these backgrounds, and like they provide tutoring and they provide like office hours, secondary advising, and all that stuff. But since they are federally funded, they can only assist citizens and residents of the United States. So I want to start a program kind of similar to it, but where it's not federally funded, so that I can take anybody and everybody that wants to be a part of it. So that would include the undocumented community, and that's just something that like I grew a passion for this past year. So yeah, I'll definitely have my program set, and like I'll be helping thousands of students all over the country, hopefully.
We love. So is there anything else that you want to, put into the universe, tell people, let people know?
Yes, if you're a prince, please hit me up. I still want to be a princess.
They can fund your program.
They can fund my program. Yes. No, but on a real note though, this is like so surreal. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm talking to like just everybody. Like, it feels really weird. I mean, I had a YouTube channel growing up, so like, I mean, it's whatever. But thank you for supporting us. If you're still here and you're still at the end, this episode was a little bit longer, but I feel like we just kind of got more comfortable with the mic. But yeah, if you want to hear anything, if you have any video ideas, let us know. And in the future, we will be recording ourselves. We just had technical difficulties today. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Obviously, this is your podcast, but thank you so much for opening up to us. I feel like we've really got to see a different side of Anahi that you don't always present.
Yes, and that is what this episode was about. Alrighty, well, we'll see y'all on the next episode next week. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.